Picture this: two people want the same life, more money, a better body, real confidence, bigger goals. One waits for motivation. The other moves even when they don't feel like it. After 1 year, their lives don't just look different, they look like they belong to two different worlds. That difference has a name: discipline. Not talent, not luck, not perfect timing. Discipline. In part one of The Power of Discipline, Daniel Walter, you're going to build the foundation. What discipline really is, why most people fail even when they know what to do, and how to start from zero without burning out. Discipline is not being harsh. It's being loyal to your future. A lot of people hear discipline and imagine punishment, suffering, or turning into a robot. The book flips that idea. Discipline is not about hating yourself into change. It's about respecting yourself enough to do what helps you long-term, even when short-term comfort is calling your name. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen self-respect. Every time you break it, you quietly train your brain to stop trusting you. And that trust, self-trust, is the real engine behind confidence, consistency, and progress. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline is a system. One of the key points early on is that motivation comes and goes. It depends on mood, sleep, stress, and your environment. If you build your life around motivation, you'll be consistent only when life feels easy. Discipline, in contrast, is what keeps you moving when motivation is missing. It's not a feeling. It's a decision you repeat. The book pushes a simple truth. You don't wait to feel ready, you act, and readiness follows. Why we choose what's easy even when we hate the results. The book explains something that's obvious but powerful once you see it clearly. Your brain is wired to chase quick rewards. Scrolling gives instant stimulation. Junk food gives instant pleasure. Skipping work gives instant relief. But the rewards you actually want, fitness, skills, money, freedom, arrive later. Discipline is the bridge between what you want now and what you want most. Without discipline, your short-term brain wins every time. The biggest trap: starting too big, too fast. Most people don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they start like they're trying to transform their whole life overnight. They set massive goals, create extreme routines, and then collapse the moment they face a stressful day. The book's approach is the opposite. Start small enough that you can't talk yourself out of it, because the goal at the beginning isn't a perfect routine. The goal is to become the kind of person who follows through. The minimum standard that makes discipline real. Here's the foundation technique. Choose a habit and define the smallest version of it that still counts. Not, "I'll work out for an hour," but "I'll do 5 minutes." Not, "I'll read every day for 30 minutes," but "I'll read 2 pages." Not, "I'll study hard tonight," but "I'll study for 10 minutes. Why this works: discipline is built by repetition, not intensity. You're training your identity. You're proving to yourself daily, "I do what I said I would do." Discipline is identity. The story you repeat about who you are. The book emphasizes a shift from goals to identity. Instead of saying, "I want to be disciplined," you begin acting like a disciplined person in small, daily ways until it becomes normal. Discipline becomes easier when it's no longer a battle, it's just what you do. That's why tiny daily actions matter. They're not tiny to your brain. They are evidence. A quick exercise to lock part 1 into your life. Take 60 seconds and answer these 3 lines. The one habit that would change my life most right now is, the smallest daily version of it I can do with no excuses is, I will attach it to this fixed moment in my day after/before. That's it. This is your foundation. And here's the key promise of the book so far. If you can win the smallest battle consistently, you can win bigger battles later. Because discipline isn't built by dramatic moments. It's built by ordinary days done right. In part 2, the book shifts from what discipline is to how to make it inevitable. Because here's the harsh truth. If your plan depends on willpower, you'll lose on the days you're tired, stressed, bored, or emotional. And those days aren't rare, they're normal. So the goal isn't to become a superhero. The goal is to build a system that keeps you moving even when you don't feel like it. Discipline becomes easier when you stop relying on willpower. The book explains that willpower is like a battery. It drains when you sleep badly, deal with stress, make too many decisions, feel hungry, anxious, or overwhelmed. That's why people often start strong in the morning and collapse at night. It's not because they're lazy. It's because they're using a weak tool, willpower, to fight a strong enemy, automatic habits plus instant rewards. So instead of saying, I just need more willpower, you build a structure that reduces the need for willpower. The number one enemy of discipline, negotiation with yourself. Most people don't quit in a dramatic moment. They quit in a tiny conversation inside their head. I'll do it later. Tomorrow I'll be more motivated. I deserve a break. It's not the right time. The book's message is clear. Every time you negotiate, you open the door to excuses. Discipline grows when you remove negotiation and replace it with rules. Rules beat moods. A mood changes. A rule stays. The book encourages creating simple personal rules that reduce daily decision-making. Examples of discipline rules. No phone for the first 30 minutes after waking up. Workout must happen before lunch. Social media only after the main task is complete. Every day I do at least the minimum version of my habit. If I don't feel like starting, I do 10 minutes anyway. Rules are powerful because they shut down debate, and debate is where discipline dies. The show-up principle. Consistency is more important than intensity. Part 2 stresses a principle that sounds too simple, but it works because it's real. Your main goal is not to perform perfectly. Your goal is to show up. If you only work out when you feel strong, you'll be inconsistent. If you only study when you feel inspired, you'll procrastinate. If you only write when you feel creative, you'll never finish. Discipline is the habit of showing up even at low energy. So the book recommends defining a minimum standard. I'm the kind of person who never does zero. That single idea protects your identity. Make good habits easier, make bad habits harder. This is where discipline becomes practical. The book pushes an environment-based approach. Don't try to fight temptation all day. Change the environment so temptation has less power. To make a good habit easier, prepare your workout clothes the night before. Keep your book visible and your phone out of reach. Open your laptop with the work page already ready. Put your water bottle on your desk. Set a timer so your brain knows it's only a short session. The goal is to reduce friction, because when friction is low, action becomes natural. To make a bad habit harder, remove apps from your home screen. Turn off notifications. Log out of social media accounts. Keep snacks out of sight. Charge your phone away from your bed. Use blockers during your focus time. You're not weak. You're human. So design your environment like a smart human. Procrastination is often emotional, not logical. The book points out that procrastination is usually not about time management. It's about emotion management. You avoid tasks because they trigger feelings. Fear of failure, pressure, boredom, insecurity, overwhelm, so your brain escapes into something easy and rewarding. The solution isn't self-hate. The solution is to reduce the emotional weight of the task. The 10-minute start, a powerful weapon against procrastination. One of the most useful ideas in Part 2 is the start small strategy, but used specifically for procrastination. When you don't feel like doing something, commit to just 10 minutes. Why it works. The brain stops seeing the task as a giant threat. Starting is the hardest part. Once you start, momentum often carries you forward, and even if you stop after 10 minutes, you still win because you practice discipline and you protected consistency. Discipline is built through momentum, not perfection. Part 2 reinforces that discipline is not something you have. It's something you practice. Every time you start when you don't want to, you train your brain. I can act without motivation. That is the real skill, and the more times you do it, the more natural it becomes. A simple daily discipline routine based on the book's logic. This is the kind of routine the book encourages, not complicated, just repeatable. Pick one priority habit, not 5. 1. Set a fixed trigger after waking up / after coffee / after prayer / after lunch / before shower / before bed. Do the minimum first 5 minutes. 2 pages, 10 minutes, something you can't excuse. Use a timer so your brain doesn't panic. It's not forever, it's just a short session. Track it a check mark every day. Your brain loves streaks. Reward the completion, even something small, a tea, a short break, a walk. Reward teaches your brain. Discipline leads to pleasure too. The real goal of part 2, by the end of part 2, the idea is not work harder. The idea is make discipline automatic by removing negotiation, using rules, reducing friction for good habits, increasing friction for bad habits, using tiny starts to beat procrastination. Because when your system is strong, you don't need to be strong every day. Part 3 is about the moment that breaks most people, the slip. Not the big failure, the small one. The day you miss your habit, the week you lose momentum, the moment you feel disappointed in yourself. Because what destroys progress isn't falling once. It's what you tell yourself after you fall. This part teaches you how disciplined people recover fast, without drama, without guilt spirals, and without turning one missed day into quitting completely. The biggest myth: disciplined people never fail. The book makes it clear. Disciplined people fail too. They get tired. They get distracted. They have bad weeks. They skip workouts. They procrastinate. The difference is not that they never fall. The difference is that they don't make the fall mean anything about who they are. They treat failure as data, not a verdict. One missed day is an event, not an identity. A dangerous mental mistake happens when you miss a habit and your brain turns it into a label. I'm lazy. I never stick to anything. I'm not disciplined. Why do I even try? Part 3 pushes a key separation: the event, I missed today; the identity, I'm a failure. If you connect those two, you will quit. If you separate them, you will improve. Because discipline grows through problem solving, not self-punishment. The never miss twice rule. This is one of the most practical rules in the entire framework. You can miss once, but don't miss twice in a row. Missing once is life. Missing twice is a new habit forming, the habit of stopping. So if you fail today, your goal tomorrow is not to make up for it with a massive session. Your goal is simply to return. Even a tiny return counts. 2 pages, 5 minutes, 10 minutes focus, just come back. That's discipline. Why guilt is a trap and how it secretly keeps you stuck. The book highlights something many people don't realize. Guilt feels like you're being responsible, but it often becomes an excuse to give up. When you feel guilty, you want relief. And the easiest relief is avoiding the habit again. So guilt creates a loop. Fail, right arrow, guilt, right arrow, avoidance, right arrow, more failure, right arrow, more guilt. Discipline breaks the loop by replacing guilt with a calm question. What happened? And what adjustment will prevent it next time? The recovery mindset: ask better questions instead of, why am I like this? Ask, what caused the slip? Part 3 encourages a simple review after failure. What happened right before I stopped? Stress, sleep, overwhelm, travel, emotional trigger. What was the smallest action I could have done to keep the streak alive? This builds your emergency version. What change will make the next attempt easier? Move the time earlier, reduce the size, remove distractions. Prepare tools. When you do this, you stop being a victim of your patterns and become the designer of your habits. The emergency version protects your identity. Part 3 returns to the minimum standard idea, but now it becomes a recovery tool. On bad days, you don't aim for perfect, you aim for non-zero. This is the emergency version. Workout emergency, 2-minute stretching or 10 squats reading emergency. 1 page study emergency. 5 minutes work emergency. 10 minutes without phone. Why it matters? Because the emergency version keeps your brain believing, I'm still the kind of person who shows up. And that identity is everything. Don't punish yourself with catch-up. Another common mistake after slipping is overcompensation. I missed 2 days, so today I'll do 2 hours. That sounds disciplined, but it's often emotional punishment. It increases pain, increases resistance, and makes you hate the habit. The book's approach is smarter. Return gently. Stabilize the routine. Then increase gradually again. Discipline is not revenge against yourself. Discipline is care for your future. A powerful mindset shift. You're building a long game. Part 3 emphasizes that habits are not a 7-day challenge. They are a lifestyle. So a missed day is normal. It doesn't change the direction unless you let it. The goal is not perfection. The goal is direction. If you improve one and stay consistent, your future becomes unrecognizable. A simple recovery plan you can use instantly. Here's a clean plan based on the book's logic. Step 1. Admit the slip without drama. I missed today. Okay. Step 2. Do the emergency version immediately, even right now, 2 minutes. Something small. Restore identity. Step 3. Remove one obstacle for tomorrow. Charge phone outside bedroom. Prep clothes. Set timer. Choose a fixed time. Step 4. Recommit to never miss twice. Tomorrow I show up no matter what. That's it. The real message of Part 3: you don't become disciplined by having perfect weeks. You become disciplined by learning how to come back fast. Because the person who can restart quickly is the person who eventually wins. And Part 4 will go deeper. How discipline becomes identity. How small actions compound into big results. And how you stop relying on motivation and start living like a disciplined person naturally. Part 4 is where discipline stops feeling like a struggle and starts becoming your identity. Not something you try to do, something you simply are. And once it becomes identity, it becomes easier to maintain because you're no longer fighting yourself every day. This part is about 3 big shifts: identity, compounding, and systems over goals. Discipline becomes powerful when it becomes personal. Most people approach discipline like a temporary project. I'm going to be disciplined this month. I'm going to fix my life starting Monday. But that mindset makes discipline fragile because it depends on excitement and pressure. The book pushes a stronger foundation. Discipline becomes stable when it becomes tied to your self-image. I'm the kind of person who follows through. I do what I said I would do. I don't negotiate with my standards. When discipline is identity, skipping doesn't just feel like losing progress, it feels like acting out of character. That's why identity is so powerful. The identity question that changes behavior. When you're deciding whether to do the habit or avoid it, ask, what would a disciplined person do right now? This works because it removes emotion from the decision. You're no longer asking, do I feel like it? You're asking, who am I? And the more times you answer that question with action, the more real the identity becomes. Small actions are not small when they repeat. Part 4 focuses heavily on the compounding effect, the same logic as money growing with interest. One workout doesn't change your body. One study session doesn't make you fluent. One productive day doesn't build a career. But repeated actions stack up, and then one day you look back and realize you're living in a different life. This is why discipline feels slow at first. Results are delayed. You invest effort now and receive progress later. Most people quit in the delay. Disciplined people understand. The delay is normal and the results are guaranteed if the system stays. Goals inspire, systems win. The book makes a clear distinction. Goals are outcomes you want. Systems are behaviors you repeat. Goals are useful for direction, but they are not enough to produce consistency. Because goals don't tell you what to do today. A system does. Every day after breakfast, I do 10 minutes of my most important task. Every night after dinner, I read 2 pages. Every morning, I walk 10 minutes. Part 4 teaches, stop obsessing over the big finish line and start obsessing over the daily process. The process is what creates the finish line. The power of a starting ritual. A key reason discipline fails is that starting feels heavy. So Part 4 encourages creating a ritual that signals to your brain, now we work. A ritual can be tiny. Clean your desk for 30 seconds, take a deep breath, set a 10-minute timer, open the book/document/notebook, put your phone away while it works. Rituals remove friction. They reduce mental resistance. They become a trigger that turns action into autopilot. Discipline grows best when you build one habit at a time. Another trap is trying to change everything at once. You start 5 habits, maintain them for 4 days, then collapse and feel like a failure. Part 4 recommends stacking slowly. First, build one core habit until it feels normal. Then add a second small habit. Then a third. You're building a structure, not a burst of motivation. A practical way to scale discipline without burnout. Here's the logic Part 4 supports. Step 1. Minimum version becomes automatic. Step 2. Increase slightly 10-20. Step 3. Keep the trigger and time consistent. Step 4. Track consistency, not perfection. If you grow too fast, the habit becomes painful again and you rely on motivation. If you grow slowly, the habit becomes part of your lifestyle. The discipline loop. Action right arrow self-trust right arrow confidence right arrow more action. Part 4 explains an invisible reward that matters more than external results. Self-trust. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build self-trust. Self-trust becomes confidence. Confidence makes starting easier, and that leads to more action. This is why discipline changes your personality. You stop being the person who talks and start being the person who does. A quick Part 4 exercise, identity plus proof. Fill these lines. I want to become the kind of person who is. The daily proof of that identity is a small action. My minimum standard, even on bad days, is I will attach it to a fixed moment in my day. Example, I want to be a disciplined, healthy person. Daily proof, 10 minutes walking. Minimum standard, 2 minutes stretching. Attached to after waking up. That's how discipline becomes identity. You keep showing proof. What Part 4 leaves you with discipline is not built by intensity. It's built by identity and repetition. When you build a system, create a ritual, and protect a minimum standard, discipline stops being a fight and becomes your normal. Part 5 will shift to the outside world. How people, environment, phone distractions, and daily chaos can destroy discipline, and how to design your environment so discipline becomes easier and more natural. Part 5 is where the book gets brutally practical. Even if your mindset is strong, your environment can quietly destroy your discipline every single day. Because discipline doesn't live in a vacuum. It lives inside. Your phone, your room, your friends, your schedule, your stress, your routine. So Part 5 teaches you how to protect your discipline by designing your life so the right choices become easier. Your environment is either training you or draining you. The book's core idea here is simple. If your environment constantly feeds distraction and comfort, you will need heroic willpower just to do normal things. And when life gets hard, willpower loses. So instead of asking, how can I force myself to be disciplined? Part 5 asks, how can I make discipline the default option? The hidden enemy. Easy access to distractions. The biggest modern discipline killer is not laziness, it's availability. If your phone is always in reach, your brain will reach for it. If social media is one tap away, your attention will leak. If junk food is visible, you'll think about it more. If your bed is next to your workspace, your body will want rest. So the book recommends a simple principle: reduce access to what ruins you. Increase access to what builds you. Make good habits easier, lower friction. Part 5 pushes you to engineer your habits. Examples. If you want to work out, lay out workout clothes the night before. Keep shoes ready by the door. Make the first step tiny, 5 minutes. If you want to read, keep the book on your pillow or desk. Remove the phone from the same space. Create a reading corner if you want to study. Keep materials open and ready. Remove visual clutter. Use a timer to make starting easy. This is not laziness. It's smart design. The less friction, the less you rely on motivation. Make bad habits harder. Raise friction. The book highlights that most bad habits survive because they are effortless. So add friction. Phone discipline. Turn off notifications, log out of apps, delete. The most addictive apps use focus mode or app blockers. Keep the phone in another room during deep work. Charge it away from your bed. Food discipline. Don't keep junk food visible. Replace it with easier, healthy options. Prepare meals ahead when possible. The rule is, if a bad habit is easy, it will happen. If it becomes annoying, it will decrease. Choose your social circle wisely. Part 5 also warns that people influence standards. If the people around you normalize procrastination, complaining, excuses, unhealthy routines, you will fight alone. But if you surround yourself with people who normalize effort, learning, consistency, you will naturally rise. This doesn't mean you cut everyone off. It means you stop letting weak standards become your daily atmosphere. Even one disciplined friend helps. Even a serious online community helps. Even watching disciplined content can shift your mindset. Protect your time with boundaries. Many people fail not because they lack discipline, but because they lack boundaries. They say yes to everything, then wonder why there's no time left for their goals. Part 5 teaches a reality. Every yes is a no to something else. So a disciplined person learns to say, not now. I have a commitment. I'll do it later, after my main task. No drama, no explanations, just boundaries. Time management is energy management. The book pushes you to stop pretending all hours are equal. Some hours you have focus. Some hours you have low energy. If you put your hardest task in your weakest hour, you will procrastinate. So Part 5 encourages, do your most important habit in your strongest energy window, and keep easy tasks for low energy times. This single change can make discipline feel much easier without changing your personality. Use a weekly reset to avoid chaos. Another tool in Part 5 is the idea of a simple weekly check-in. Once a week, 10 minutes. What worked? What failed? What distracted me? What will I adjust? This prevents you from repeating the same mistake for months. Discipline is not only doing, it's also adjusting. A practical Part 5 minute plan you can apply today. Write these 5 lines. The one thing draining my discipline is, I will increase friction by doing. I will reduce friction for my habit by doing. My protected time block is from 2. My minimum standard is even on bad days. That's how you turn discipline into something supported by your life, not attacked by it. What Part 5 leaves you with: you don't need to become stronger than the world. You need to design your world so it stops fighting you. And Part 6 will bring everything together. A 30-day discipline plan, how to create real results, how to make discipline permanent, and how to keep progressing without burnout. In Part 6, the book brings everything together into one clear mission: turn discipline into a lifestyle that produces results without burning out. Because discipline isn't about doing hard things once. It's about doing the right things long enough to become a different person. This final part focuses on a practical 30-day structure, long-term consistency, and the mindset that keeps you moving when life is messy. The 30-day discipline framework. Build the base, then scale. The book's logic is simple. You don't transform in 30 days, but you can build a system in 30 days that transforms your future. Days 1-7. Prove the identity. Your goal is not big results. Your goal is proof. Pick one core habit and make it so small you can't fail. Examples: fitness, 5-10 minutes movement; reading, 2 pages; study, 10 minutes; work, 15 minutes focused on the most important task. Attach it to a fixed trigger. After waking up, after coffee, after lunch, before bed. Track it daily. 1 checkmark a day. This creates momentum and self-trust. Days 8-14. Remove excuses by designing your environment. Now you stop relying on motivation and start relying on structure. Prepare tools the night before. Remove distractions. Create one dedicated space. Set clear rules. No phone until habit is done. Your goal here is to reduce friction for good habits and increase friction for bad ones. Days 15-21. Scale slowly. Don't spike. This is where most people ruin progress by trying to do too much. Instead, increase by 10-20. If you were doing 10 minutes, go to 12-15. If you were reading 2 pages, go to 3-4. Keep the habit easy enough to repeat, hard enough to matter. Days 22-30. Lock consistency with review plus minimum standard. By now, the habit should feel less new. This is when you protect it with 2 things: a weekly 10-minute review, an emergency version for bad days. The emergency version is what prevents relapse. You never do zero. You always do the minimum. How to make discipline permanent. Stop chasing motivation forever. The book ends with a mature truth. Motivation is a visitor. Discipline is a resident. If you wait to feel ready, you'll live in cycles. Start strong, right arrow, lose motivation, right arrow, quit, right arrow, feel guilty, right arrow, restart. Discipline breaks the cycle by making action automatic through a fixed trigger, a minimum standard, clear rules, an environment that supports focus, tracking, and reviewing the real long-term goal. Self-trust. One of the deepest outcomes of discipline is not money or fitness. It's self-trust. When you consistently do what you said you would do, you become someone you can rely on. And that changes how you think, how you act, and what you believe is possible for you. Discipline builds the person who achieves goals, not just the goals themselves. When you slip, use the fast return rule. The final part reinforces. You will slip at some point. That's not failure. The failure is letting a slip become a stop. So you return fast. Don't miss twice. Do the emergency version. Adjust one thing. Continue. This turns setbacks into feedback, not endings. The final mindset. Discipline is freedom. The book closes on a powerful idea. Most people think discipline is restriction, but discipline is actually freedom. Discipline gives you freedom from procrastination, addictions, to comfort, emotional impulse, regret, wasted potential. It gives you freedom to build skills, confidence, health, stability, a future you respect, because when you control your actions, you control your direction. A final 5-line discipline plan, simple and effective. If you want the whole book in one practical system, write this: my core habit is. My minimum daily version is 5-10 minutes max. I will do it after. Fixed trigger: if I have a bad day, I will do this. Emergency version: I will track it daily for 30 days and review once a week. Do that, and discipline stops being a concept and becomes real. Final message of the book: you don't need a perfect life to become disciplined. You need one decision repeated daily, and if you keep that decision alive, even in small ways, you will eventually build the life you've been dreaming about. That's the power of discipline.